Ciao, buongiorno ragazzi, and thank you very much for tuning into another edition of the Inter Worldwide podcast. I believe by my count, this is episode 26. I hope I'm not one off, but I'll double check that thumbnail before I get it up. More importantly, this is the podcast that we will be doing before the first match of the season against Lecce. I'm really excited, and I know my guest is excited. Alessandro, my friend, how you doing? Thanks for joining me.
Very good, very good. Finally, Serie A is back.
Are you excited, man?
I'm very excited, just because I basically miss all the friendly games of this summer, and so finally I can see the ragazzi playing again.
Absolutely, and we're all excited for that. Guys, you need to stay tuned at the end of this podcast because there's a special interview at the end between Alessandro and the founder of interfans.org, Sergio Cerbone, which is actually the first ever interfan site online, set the benchmark in 2002. And you know what? His foundational reasons for starting his website and reaching out to the Inter community is exactly what we're all about here at Inter Worldwide. I love the interview. I know you guys are too. So stick around at the end of the podcast to get an exclusive interview with Sergio. And thank you to Alessandro for hitting that one up for us. Alessandro, how did you spend your off season, man? How did you de-engage from the media mercato circus that was surrounding Inter?
So mostly, I need to be honest. I started to like the transfer windows at first, and I started to be engaged on our Twitter profile, and it was pretty crazy to see how things change one day after the other, and see the different personality and opinions online, through that specific social media. And right now I'm just totally over it. To be honest, I just can't wait for the real soccer to start, and these transfer windows to be over with. And I know that we still have 2 weeks and a lot of things are going to happen probably. But yeah, I mean, at this point I just want to see the games, and what's gonna happen on the field, because it's not just Inter, but the whole Serie A has a lot of new players, and a lot of players who are coming back from other leagues, and that's awesome. But I want to see what is really going on the pitch, because that's the most important thing. So you can have the best collection of names, but then you need to see how they can fit together and how they can learn and actually play the style of each different coach and blah blah blah. So anyway, I just can't wait to Serie A to start.
Yeah, I would have to echo those thoughts completely. I think in the day and age of social media, there's a lot of pride and ego attached to the fan bases, and that's where a lot of the hype and a lot of the animosity between clubs comes from in the off season. Obviously, the media doesn't help when they recirculate headlines and they just pick names out of hats and pick clubs' names out of another jar and put them together. It's getting more and more silly with every mercato. But, a shining light in Inter's mercato, and we're going to talk about this for a little bit, is BEPPE Marotta. In my opinion, the best signing that Inter has made post 2010. He is not a player, he is not the coach, but he is a fantastic director and a businessman. And what he has done for Inter in this mercato has been fantastic in terms of nailing down the Romelu Lukaku deal. Despite the transfer fee that was attached to it, he did end up coming to Inter on Marotta's terms, 65 million up front as opposed to 80 up front for 1 year. The 65 is to be paid over an installment of, I think it's 5 years, 4 or 5 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Five.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. 5 years, which really, really does well for us. Not to mention there was those Ladri Juve directors trying to back us into a corner in order to steal Icardi for a cheap price. But purchasing Lukaku really did force their hand. And to be honest, if you guys aren't impressed with Beppe Marotta's current track record in the Mercato, just wait and see what's going to happen in the last 10 days, because I am building this up to be huge. And that leads us to our next signing, which is Alexis Sanchez. So me personally, huge fan of Alexis Sanchez. I remember watching him at Udinese, which of course was the first time Inter was linked to him. As an Inter fan, you need to kind of get used to the fact that you might be linked with a player, and yeah, you will get him maybe 5, 6, 7 years down the track. So we have got Alexis Sanchez, whose decorated career started prominently at Udinese. After impressing those in the Premier League and Spain, he opted for a move to Catalonia and had a successful few seasons at Barcelona before taking a high-profile transfer to Arsenal in the English Premier League, in which, excuse my language, he ripped everybody a new asshole. He was fantastic at Arsenal. Goals from left, right, center, off the head, left foot, right foot, chip, big hits into the top corner, you name it. Unfortunately, was unable to replicate that form, unfortunately for himself, at Manchester United, where he was given a ridiculous pay wage by those in charge. €360,000 a week is a lot of money, totaling just up to €26 million per year. Inter, if we do get this player, which is looking more and more likely by the hour, it's one of those deals that looks to have been done fundamentally under the counter by Beppe, and now it's surfacing as we get more traction or as it becomes more legitimate. I would be very happy to take Alexis Sanchez, not necessarily on form, but once again, Marotta getting it done on his terms. So before I ask Alessandro what he thinks, let's just go through some of those terms. Loan fee up front, $0. Yep, you heard that correct, ragazzi. $0. No transfer of funds to Manchester United whatsoever. $360,000 a week. It has been reported that Marotta has a verbal agreement with Alexis Sanchez to take a pay cut down to around 250. Don't take these figures as gospel. Take them as a grain of salt, because we're only getting them from the news outlets that come out as well. And if the rumors of Alexis to Man United are true, best believe that the figures are going to be fudged a little bit until you hear an official announcement from each club. So as I said, 360,000 a week down to 250,000 a week. However, the big kicker in this one, Alessandro, and the big kicker in this one, ragazzi listening, is that Manchester United are supposedly ready to foot 25 to 50% of the wage bill for Alexis Sanchez, which that would bring it down to the absolute maximum 180,000 a week, or alternatively, even 125,000 a week. Alessandro, when you hear those kind of figures attached to a name like Alexis Sanchez, the fact that Inter could get this player for free and only have to pay him, let's just ballpark it, 150K a season, and then also on top of all that, the cherry on the top is an option, not an obligation, an option to redeem at €15 million. My voice is getting a little tired, Alessandro. Can you take over?
Sure. No, it's a fantastic opportunity for us, and I just wonder if it's part of some deal, like a Lukaku deal, let's say, just pay one, get two, and then down the line next year maybe we're gonna get Sanchez no matter what. That I don't know. It just came out of the blue, and Conte was asking for Dzeko, and now we're getting Sanchez. That is a completely different player, and that's the only thing that is something that I don't know. I don't really get, but I know that Conte liked Sanchez since he was back in Serie A, in the first years of Juventus, and I do remember Sanchez at Udinese. I don't know if I said this before, but I do remember an interview with Sanchez in the pre-campionato, the first pre-campionato he did, and the way he was talking to the journalists, he was the way of somebody who wants to become one of the best players in the world. and that year proved it. That year is just exploded. It was amazing to watch, and I have to say, I mean, I was glad he went to Barcelona instead of Juventus, and now to
Yeah, thank
have
you
him
for
here, that's for these like price, let's call it price. That's awesome. If he come back to be the player he was at Udinese, or even just remotely like he was, it's just amazing. And the work that Marotta did in this case and in all the other transfer we had, uh, I mean, it's just pure masterclass. I mean, I don't know if he's lucky or what, but the way he managed the Lukaku deal, that's amazing,
Yes.
amazing. He just the way I don't know. Yeah, I'm speechless. With all the thing that happened in a week or two, all the different like Juventus and all the other teams involved, other players, and all these astronomical numbers. And at the end of the day, he gets the player and the condition he wants, and then we're coming to know the Juventus want to get rid of Dybala, that this and that. It's just a masterclass. That's it. And as you were saying, it is probably Marotta the best deal that we did in more than 10 years or so. Um, yeah, I cannot think of anything better. I don't know. I don't know, Ibrahimovic exchange maybe.
Yeah, the Ibrahimovic exchange for me is the best transfer we've ever done, primarily because of what followed it. But our friend Bruno has been saying to me over the phone every day, in his opinion, this is the best mercato we've ever had, just purely based on ego and being able to build some stature in terms of the world. Marotta has helped Inter put themselves back on the global map. Um, yeah, we
It's a
really have to.
combination of things, to be honest, because I mean, I know a lot of people doesn't like Ozilio. I don't have anything against him. You need to look at the time he operated with us. So now it's easy for us to see Marotta as the best
Yes.
deal because it's coming in the perfect time. Like we're out of the financial fair play. We have um, an ownership that is really good. It has money. They know what to do, and finally we have a project with somebody who did something similar before and was able to bring in one of the best coach around, and this attracts good players, and the player we have, they don't want to leave. The other players, good players, want to join us. So he's here at the right time. If Marotta was here, I don't know, 4 years ago, I want to see how he managed to do the same things.
Yeah, you're definitely right, man. A little bit of context goes an absolutely long way, in my opinion, as well. So well said there, Alessandro. Moving on, but staying with the forward aspect or the striker aspect, whatever you want to call it. Mauro Icardi, I can't believe his name is still in my podcast. I really thought, I thought, come on, man. Like, how many podcasts ago did we really think it was going to be the last time we had to talk about it? But he's still here, apparently permanently, because today photos have gone up on both him and Wandanara's socials that they have bought a house in Milan. I only want to spend 2-3 minutes talking about this tops because I really feel like it's resolving itself behind the scenes and I've got full faith in Marotta to close this one out. But Alessandro, right now, if you had a decision, do you go up to Mauro and try and integrate him in this team or not? Because I'm just letting you know now, there's a lot of fans in the last 6 to 8 hours that have started to write and are really coming to terms with the prospect of Lukaku, Icardi, Martinez, and Esposito and Sanchez as our five forwards.
So um, the, there are a couple of things to say. We need
You have a
to.
little, you have a little bit of inside word as well, don't you?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Um, there are two main point of view, and one of them is that Icardi doesn't want to leave. And he always said that he loves the team and Inter here, Inter there. So he is he wants to stay, and I understand that. I respect that. And to be honest, aside the fake injury thing, he always proved that he's like a professional and whatever you want to say. But then he did that stupid thing, and it's I mean he needs to pay for that. On the other hand, for this reason and maybe more, we don't know. We I mean we don't know for sure at least. But the president of Inter um, doesn't want the player anymore
Yeah.
and doesn't want to sell it to Juventus.
I guess
But
the latest news that's come out online today is that there's actual evidence of Wanda and Mauro meeting up with directors from Juventus in Bologna in January last year, and apparently Marcelo Brozovic was at the exact same hotel or the same restaurant or whatnot on the same long weekend, and he has seen him dining, and he's brought that information back to the dressing room after the Parma match, which if you listen to the podcast regularly, Ragazzi, a couple of weeks ago with Mario and Rivas, we did a little bit of in the middle where we talked about that match against Parma. It was probably Icardi's worst match I've seen him play for Inter in a long time. He had a few one-on-one chances and he scuffed them both stupidly wide to the point where the keeper didn't even have to dive. Lautaro comes in with about 20 minutes left and bangs one into the top ins, and it was just chaos from there. Apparently, the Mauro got back into the dressing room, and Brozovic said, "You know what? Fair enough, you want to leave, but at least play like you want to be here until the end. Act professional." And that just opened up basically a can of worms that was brewing for a long time. The tempers flared, personalities clashed, and at the end of the day, the only honorable decision was to remove the captaincy before the rest of the dressing room revolted. Alessandro, do you think that story has any substance? Do you think it's true, not true? What do you make of it?
what do I make of it? I make that I have no clue. I make that I have no proofs, and
Yeah.
I make that if I have to look at the player, like overall, he's a fantastic striker.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay.
If I add all the other things, starting from the agent and how he behaved last year, and how what kind of player Conte and this new ownership wants, it needs to leave. My personal point of view counts to zero. And at this point, my personal point of view is completely split in half. My left
Yes.
and my right are like fighting constantly. Like on
Yeah.
one hand, on paper, if I have to play FIFA, I play with Icardi with no problem. You know, it's just if you look at the stats and number, I don't see why I cannot play that player. But then in reality, I know why I shouldn't play. So what are you gonna do? And at this point, after like a 2, 3, 4, 5 months that we keep saying that is out of the team and it lost the number, lost the captaincy, and this and that. I mean, how can you start Serie A with Icardi playing? It's just, it's bad. It's bad for the team. It's bad for the new coach. It's bad for everybody.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if
Unless
he's not
someone knows
leaving,
some. Yeah, go on.
sorry, I was saying if he's not leaving at the end of the transfer window, what are you gonna do? Of course, sooner or later he's gonna play, but how much and when? That's really a mystery to me.
I really hope his match fitness is up to scratch, because in the event that we do have to use him, he is going to want to perform, and that's the only outcome that Inter fans are going to accept. Whether or not Conte choose to play him, as Alessandro said, we are completely in the dark as fans, and sometimes we think something's not going to happen, and then Marotta, Conte, and co pull something out of their ass, and with 24, 48 hours in the Mercato, we get so much done. So it wouldn't surprise me if our board have had an agenda this whole time and have known exactly what is going to happen and when. It's also perfectly viable that they've got absolutely no idea what they are doing in this situation, and that Icardi and Wanda are holding them to ransom still. I think I just speak for all Inter fans when we are craving a wanderless Mauro Icardi. Again, that would be the ultimate goal. And if he was going to set foot on our pitch again, it would have to be with a different agent. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. All right, let's leave it at that. I really hope we never have to talk about Icardi situation about this on this podcast again, unless it's following a dobletta or a tripletta and he's starting to win us over with goals again.
Or a transfer move.
Yeah, or a transfer move, that too. Actually, that probably the most, to be honest. Let's talk a little bit about Inter's outs of the Mercato. Now, we had a fair bit of dead wood in this squad, and I still think there are players still to go. Unfortunately, two of our players that did depart were two of our better players in Raja Nainggolan and Ivan Perisic. I did a little bit of a reaction on YouTube, but in terms of a podcast, we've only touched on Nainggolan a little bit. Alessandro, my reaction to Ivan Perisic leaving was somewhat of meh, because on his day, he's a great player. On his day, he can probably do that left wing back role for Conte. But Conte's day, Alessandro, is every day. It's training in the morning, it's training in the afternoon, and it's putting a 10 out of 10 performance on the pitch. I haven't seen enough of Ivan Perisic in the last 12 months to warrant a place on this team. A lot of my match reactions last season, I was heavily critical of him and his output on the pitch. To be honest, when I heard he was loaned out to Bayern Munich, I was actually more relieved than anything. I thought it was another opportunity for us to move past a bit of a shadow or a ghostly squad. One of our best players, I'll say it again, but I think at his age, time to move on. What do you think about Ivan Perisic, Alessandro, and of course touch on your reaction to Raja Nainggolan as well?
Yeah, overall, I completely agree with you. The only thing I want to add is about the Raja and Nainggolan move is that there are like reason in his personal life with the very sad problem that the wife has, and I don't know. I feel like this transfer was also somehow um, you know, Inter saw that he had this problem. I'm not saying that he did this just for the player and because of that, but at the same time, I don't know. I hope that was part of the whole deal. Like, okay, we bought you last year and we spent money, or anyway, you know, we gave away a good player for you, and now we basically need to get rid of you because of whatever happened or for other decision. But at the same time, we are not making any buck out of you, and that's because um, you asked to go back to Cagliari, stay close to your family, and you're not playing with us anymore. That's one thing we wanted. You want to stay close to your family for the reason we know. That's what you want, and so that's compromise. And I feel that there is something good in this. There is like a human touch out of it.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if this is just my reading of the thing or if it's actually what happened. I have no clue. I just hope there's part of it. On moving on the Perisic move. On the other hand, I totally agree with you. I don't have anything else to say. It's like he was one of our best players, but apparently it's part of the what was going on last year was what's going on with Icardi and all that situation, and they decided to get rid of 3 players, and they did it with Perisic, they did it with Nainggolan, and they're trying to do that with Icardi, and I'm glad he went to a team that, I mean, they needed that kind of player, and probably is good for his career too. So yeah, I don't see anything bad.
Yeah, I think we'll see a better Ivan Perisic in his first season at Bayern than he was for Inter last year. He'll unlock a little bit of that mentality that he has in order to excel again, because on his day he really is an amazing fit world class athlete. A couple of other pieces of transfer news going out. Obviously, we sold João Miranda, but we've spoken about that already. João Mario and Dalbert. These are the 2 remaining players on Inter's wish list to depart. I am all for both of them departing because I feel as though they have nothing else to give at this club. I think that Dalbert, while he is not a poor player, he does not suit not only Conte's system, he does not suit a big club in Italy. He is either a mid-table player or a player for a semi-top team in France. In terms of João Mario, I actually think he sucks ass. I don't think I've seen anything from the 45 million that he's done. I can't believe how many fans actually think he's a good player. He's worth 10 to 15 million in my books. He's just your bang average possession player midfielder. Give the ball to João Mario. He'll touch it around a tiny bit and pass it back in the middle of the park. He offers nothing going forward. His technicality is an average man's technicality, and every single midfielder on our squad, characteristic for characteristic, I think is better than João Mario. What do you think, Alessandro? Do you reckon I was a bit harsh just then?
Just a touch.
Just a touch. Yeah, well,
Just
a lot of fans were very happy last season with the cameos he made, but he was used sporadically by Spalletti very, very strategically. João Mario came in to play games against deadwood sides that did not require a bolstered midfield to go up against them. His best performance was a 5-0 game against Genoa, who lost a last minute goal to Milan only 3 days before. It was a very elusive fixture, that one, and we paid for it afterwards. So, in my opinion, when João Mario leaves Inter, I will do a video on YouTube just for that transfer 100% because I am not a fan of him whatsoever, and he just needs to get off our books. In terms of Dalbert, the only reason we are going to get rid of him is in a hope to replace him with Biraghi, who currently plays for Fiorentina. Alessandro, in terms of Biraghi, did you watch much of him last season? I know he's actually an Inter youth product, isn't he?
Yeah.
So
If I
the only
don't
thing I remember from him is the cracker he scored against Man City in that friendly a long time ago.
exactly, and I think like everybody else, that's the only best memory left probably. But he grew up. He's a really talented, good player now, and yeah. If I have to say something about the Joao Mario and Albert move, I have to agree with you. And I was hoping to move these 2 players earlier on. So with that money, probably we will try to bring in um, somebody else. It could be another striker or a good midfielder. I don't know if it's too late now. I don't know if we actually are going to be able to to move them because every year is the Joao Mario transfer to some team and then it stays with us. So I hope this is the good year to get rid of him. And I don't know with that. I honestly I cannot say anything because he played um, such a small percentage of the games,
Yeah.
most of them in an awful way, because he seemed like scared, but
Yeah,
I have to say once, I mean, if you play every, I don't know, 10 minutes every 4 games, I mean, how can you change the games, you know? Unless you're like a freaking superstar, you
yeah,
can't do that. And especially under Spalletti and the way he managed players, I
yeah,
mean, that's not good. So I thought with this preseason, I read pretty good things about Albert. With Sensi, he seemed to be one of the best player on our team. But if again, I said this before, I wrote about it. This year, we are doing all in on Conte. So Marotta picked Conte. Conte is, from what we know, is the one making a decision about who's gonna stay, who's gonna leave, who wants. And I put all the trust in the world on this coach. So if he thinks that Biraghi is better than Dalbert, so be it, you know.
yeah, 100%. I think most of the Inter fans are putting all their faith and all their trust in the Marotta Conte combo. This has been a great show so far. We've got two more things to cover. We've got Lecce, and then we're moving into the expectations, comments, and questions from the fans. Lecce this week. We could not have asked for an easier opening fixture, Alessandro. 60,000 tickets have been sold for the Miazza to watch Antonio Conte's men do battle in the opening fixture of the season. I will tell you something right now, Alex. I have never predicted a win in the opening game of the season since Mourinho left. This is the first time ever I am going to predict us to have a definite victory. And that's bad, isn't it, man? That's bad. But anyway, we go into our first match of the season up against Lecce. Their squad does not look that stacked up. They had a great season last year in Serie B, and applause, kudos, congratulations to them for making it back into the top flight. I personally hope they stay up, as I hope all promoted clubs stay up every season. I always hope the promoted clubs stay up. This year, I won't mind if Hellas Verona go back down. I'm not a huge fan. But in terms of Lecce, I think they'll bring something a little bit extra to Serie A, but I don't think they're going to have the power and the punch to win many games. And I'm really hoping they don't get any points from us in the first match day. Alessandro, we've got no team news yet. There's still 5 days left to the game, which in intermercato time is about another 5 years. So a lot of stuff can still happen. What do you think is going to happen at Lecce? Keep it brief. Do you think we get a victory? And what do you expect to see?
I I think we're gonna do like in all these friendly preseason game. I think we're gonna win at the penalties. uh,
If only.
I don't know. I don't know, man. All jokes aside, I don't even know who is gonna play aside Handanovic, Skriniar, De Vrij, and D'Ambrosio. I mean, I can think, of course, Sensi, Barella, and Brozovic in the
Brozovic,
midfield.
yeah.
But
Lukaku,
then
maybe. I'm not sure if
who
Lukaku
else? Who is
starts, if
gonna
he's
play on the wings? Who is gonna play in the front? And
in.
that's basically half of the team. And on the other hand, we have Lecce that I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but I think he made really small adjustment from the last year of formation. I know that they have La Padula, but other than that, I think pretty much it's the same team. So that could be an advantage. On the other hand, we are playing at San Siro, that is like should be our fortress, and so I hope for the best. But yeah, I don't know, I'm really curious. Plus, we're playing on a Monday night, so we're gonna know already all the other teams how they did, and I don't know, maybe we can put some extra pressure, and who knows, it can be good. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
My prediction 0-0. I don't know, 1-1.
oh, good call. Good call. He's staying nice and conservative. I like it. In the real world, it's 4:45 a.m. on a Tuesday for whoever wants to tune into that match here in Australia. Yeah, I can't wait for that wake-up time. It's great. I really miss doing that. The expectations and the comments from some of our listeners, I'm really excited to give a few comments out, and I'll switch over to Alessandro to react to some of these as well. So I asked a few of the fans in a few of the different forums and groups that we're a part of what their expectations and comments were going into the start of the season. So starting off with the Inter-Australia group, shout out to all the active boys in that. You know exactly who you are. Noor, my man Noor, he says, league winners. We have the depth to go the distance this season. So Noor is very, very optimistic. Stephen says that we need to develop team cohesion under Conte. That's the most important thing, to develop an identity. I love that point. So many times, even when we won games under Spalletti, Alessandro, I'm sure you'll agree, there was still no definitive identity of the team. Vero?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so with Conte, I hope we definitely see an identity being formed, an identity that can accumulate on previous fixtures. That way, it gives the fans and the players more give more confidence going into every fixture. Teams and players go into games a lot more confidently when they know their team's identity and they have a set plan and structure. Razwan says Scudetto for sure, and Antonio Conte, la 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 la. He's a huge Conte fan, and he's going to be preaching this all season. I can't wait to hear what he says. Cristofero says Rubentus to Serie B. Stefan says no curses in December or January. I like that one as well. Bruno and I made the huge mistake last season, ragazzi, of when we beat Empoli and Napoli back to back, thinking that the December curse was over. It was not over. We just prolonged it over the next 2 months. All good. And Adam actually says everyone is underwriting Napoli. I think that they are in for another good season. Alessandro, any of those comments strike you, or any of those ones stick with you?
Well, I completely agree with the second one. And I'm pretty sure Conte is going to bring that kind of mentality. He said it before. I mean, I think it's one of the first things he said, no more Pazza Inter. This is not, that's it. I mean, we need to grow up. It's not more like all these ups and downs. We need to be consistent. We need to be a team, and that's what he's looking in all these players bringing in. That's why it's getting rid of Perisic. That's why it's getting rid of Nainggolan. That's why he's willing to, don't choose player that are like fantastic or amazing for set, but is looking to create a team with players willing to run for each other, and it's just create unity. And that's what I think that's one of the main reasons why he doesn't want Icardi. But moving on from that, what this after, I'm sorry we're going so long today, but this is a pre-season podcast. It was a little bit of catching up from the previous 2 months. I want to say it, the interview you're going to hear, if you're still with us, it's in English. So even if my guest is Italian, we're gonna do the whole interview in English.
Yeah, I definitely should have said it at the start. The interview is in English, but that's not it. We still got a few different comments left. Some of the boys from Forza Inter forums commented to me this week. Shout out to them. Nico says SMS and Sanchez makes us genuine Scudetto contenders. I would agree with that right there. We're not going to have time to talk about SMS, but I just let you guys know right now he's my number moment on the list. If we are going to bring in another midfielder, it's going to have to be him. And our boy Ozzy, thank you so much for writing in. Ozzy, I love your work. I love your words. He says quarterfinal UCL absolute minimum. Lukaku and Lautaro to shine, 17 and 15 plus goals each. second or third, with Juve still too strong. I think that's a very realistic opinion, and I would love nothing more than to see Lautaro bag in goal after goal. So just quietly, I can show off my new jersey. Anyway, we got a couple more questions, and I'm only going to say them because they're really good, and I want Alessandro to answer them. Alessandro, out of the three teams who have been promoted, Brescia, Lecce, and Hellas Verona, do you expect any of them to survive the drop next season? That's a great question, by the way, and thank you so much from Angelo from Melbourne for writing it in, man.
I think the obvious choice is Brescia. They have Balotelli, they have Tonali. They have another couple of players. They are pretty good. They can be like Empoli was last year, and I'm sorry we were the team that basically relegate Empoli. But
not sorry.
If you look at I'm sorry.
I said I'm not sorry, but go on.
Oh well, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not sorry either, but at the same time, if you look at the players, a lot of them they are still in Serie A. I mean, so I think Brescia is gonna be one of the possible, if not the only team of the three to stay up.
Yeah, I would have to agree there. And out of all the signings that Inter has made so far this Mercato, Alessandro, which one is your favorite? Or in better put terms, who do you think will make the biggest impact? And shout out to Randy for writing that one in from Adelaide, Australian crew repping strong.
This is a tough one because I really like Godin. I think that since he is bringing in something that we didn't have for a long time, and I'm curious to see how Lukaku deals with Serie A defenders. But if I had to pick one, my favorite is Barella. I said it last year, and I have to say it again. I think he's fantastic. I think he had an awful preseason, and I really hope that he's gonna have a fantastic season with us, though. So yeah, my pick is Barella. We paid a lot for this player. He's young, he's strong, and as soon as he gets in the right system, in the right, I don't know, like it can play with all the players that we have. It should shine, really.
Yeah, I 100% agree. My favorite signing for Inter has been Nicola Barella for all the reasons Alessandro has just said. I also agree he hasn't had a great preseason, but that's only going to make him explode even more onto the scene. He was the midfielder that I wanted before Milinkovic-Savic, and yeah, he's just my guy, and I've liked him for a long time now, and I really hope he proves some of the Inter fans wrong in terms of their doubts. Guys, that is going to be all we have time for this evening. It is running a little bit long with me, Alessandro, and Sergio. It's probably going to go a little bit over the hour mark, but let us know what you think in the comments below, whether you're on SoundCloud or YouTube. We thank you deeply for tuning in and for showing your constant support on the channel and on the socials. You've been doing really, really great stuff for us, and you're the only reason that we keep going. So please keep it up. Thank you so much, and thank you to my guest, Alessandro, for coming on, man.
No, thank you, and I want to thank you all the amazing people and supporters we have on, especially on Twitter. Now I'm basically managing Twitter, so if you have any question, if you have any comment, please contact us, and yeah, we love your feedbacks. So, and again, I'm sorry we ran long today, but this is a one-time thing, so I hope you're fine with that.
All right, good stuff, man. Okay, from all of us here at Inter Worldwide,
I forgot one thing.
one thing. Yep.
If you're still here with us listening now, we are gonna have some special guests coming up pretty soon. So stay tuned.
Oh, good little plug there. No worries. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
From all of us here at Inter Worldwide, Forza Inter, My God, when we check in next, I hope we've got 3 points. Grazie, Alessandro. Ciao, ragazzi.
Ciao. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us this week. We have a special guest. I was lucky enough to meet Sergio in person when he was living in San Francisco, but I knew him as a writer and author of the book about the Warriors, the basketball team here in San Francisco. I didn't know he also is the founder of the website interfans.org. So I want to give a very warm welcome to Sergio Cerbone. Long time no see, but hi, how are you?
Well, hello, Alessandro. Thank you for having me here. First of all, I'm excited to talk to you about our favorite team, Inter.
Good. So as I was saying, you started the website interfans.org a long time ago back in Italy, and I don't know if you want to explain what it is, how you started, and why.
Yeah, no, actually, it started in 2002. I think it was one of the first website talking non-official website talking about FC Inter, and I just decided to start it because Ronaldo, the real Ronaldo, just left Inter to get to Madrid, and I was very sad, very lonely, and I couldn't find a place on the internet where to talk about it. So for me, it was like a way to start a community from scratch and try to have some folks talk about Inter. And then after a few weeks, the website started to get populated. I had like 1,000 already users registering and talk about the team and stuff. And little by little became very popular. And now, after so many years, like I can say with a little bit of proud that interfans.org is the largest community about Inter.
So just to be clear, it's mostly in Italian, and it's mostly, as you were saying, there are like threads, and people can suggest whatever they think about players or the team or anything is actually going on all around the team. And but on top of that, you recently add also a podcast. And I see that you start also collaborating with FC Inter 1908.it .it. Sorry, that's another very big website.
Yeah, pretty much it's still a community. So the core of the site is the forum where FC Inter fans can meet and talk and organize meetings at the stadium or elsewhere. And so it's still the core. But with the years, I try to catch up with the technology and propose my users what's hot at that time. So recently, as you mentioned, I started a podcast. Actually, it got 1 year now. We registered the 60 episode last week. So for me, it's also a way to catch up with the technology, to learn it, to use it, and to test it. And users are responding well. So you also mentioned about the partnership that we have with FC Inter 1908.it, which is a popular news site here in Italy for Inter supporters. So the idea here is to present the users everything in one place, in one website, but yet having the community being the core.
Great. We are trying to do pretty much the same for the rest of the world. But if you're listening and you speak Italian or you're trying to learn Italian, I strongly recommend to go on this website and listen to the podcast, of course. Do you want to add anything that I didn't mention?
No, I mean, I don't really like self-promotion, but I guess it was part of the deal, right? So yeah, no, let's talk about Inter. That's
All
better.
right. So let's talk about Inter. Let's talk about what's going on these hours, basically. Apparently, we're just waiting for the announcement of Sanchez at Inter. Do you have any news?
Well, yeah, the news is that he's very close to be signed with Inter. We're gonna get him on loan, and Manchester United is actually paying, I think, third quarter of his salary, which is pretty high, about 12 million euro per year. So I think if we consider the financial part, it's a good deal. If I have to think about the player, I have some doubts in the sense that Sanchez has been out basically of the game for pretty much last season. He hasn't played well at Manchester United. So perhaps he's also far from being in a good condition. It will take a while for him to get back to it. So I guess it's a bet, but again, if we consider the financial part, it's a good deal. It's a good deal made by our club, Ausilio, Marotta. So and if I consider that we didn't get Dzeko for 20 millions, I think it's good because Dzeko is old, going for 34. We could sign him for free next year. So maybe it's a better player than Sanchez, but overall, I think we are getting a better deal with Sanchez, and I look forward to seeing him playing alongside with Lukaku.
So this is just a 1 year loan, no string attachment. There is nothing. It's just gonna have 1 year, and then if we have an option to buy for the second, correct?
Yeah, correct. And I think they already agreed to I think 15 million, sorry, to acquire him next season if we want. So again, it's a bet that we are doing this year, and if it doesn't work, then we are basically losing nothing, and I'm quite happy for that.
That's good. My only concern, not really a concern, just I don't understand. As you were mentioning, we didn't get Dzeko to get Sanchez, and from my point of view, they are really different players. So what's the deal?
Yeah, I think still the attack part of our team has to be completed in the sense that we now have Lukaku, Lautaro, and Sanchez. Politano can play as a striker, but I think that by the end of the transfer market window, we will try to get another striker, and I think Llorente is on the radar right now. He doesn't have a contract with any teams right now, so again, if we buy him, if we get him, we're gonna spend zero. So it would be another good deal if we think about the economical part.
Okay.
Or if Icardi decides to leave for Naples, we might even get Milik in exchange of Icardi and money. So yeah, I think we are missing some days to the closure of the transfer market, and something might happen.
Okay, you were mentioning like Icardi. Do you actually think it's going to Napoli, or what do you think is gonna happen by the end of the transfer
Well,
season
it's very
window?
hard to say because Icardi has pretty much rejected every offers that he received, that the club received, and there were many offers, many good offers. I'm thinking about Arsenal at the beginning of this transfer market, Napoli, Roma, and recently Monaco. So they offered like 60 million, 65 millions. So the money that Inter wanted for Icardi, but Icardi rejected them all. I don't know. It is a very strange psychology. He has a very strange psychology. It's different from any other player. He's basically rejecting offers, and there is the risk that is jeopardizing his career, because if he continue to reject offers, he might stay out of the team without playing, and this is going to affect his career, and this is going to be very bad for him.
He does have a very peculiar agent. So, speaking of peculiarity, what do you think of the news about a possible exchange of Icardi with Piątek?
Oh.
Do you think that's even, I don't know, remotely possible?
No, honestly, with all the options that he has, I don't think going to AC Milan is an option. It's a concrete option. I read some articles today around the web, but yeah, no, I don't really think it's gonna happen. If something is gonna happen, is probably is gonna be Napoli or perhaps Juventus. I'm reading a lot about Juventus, that they've been chasing him for months, and maybe they have a strategy that Icardi will leave at the last day of the transfer market for Juventus. I don't know.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay. Will you be happy, or do you think this is a loss for our team?
Well, I mean, whichever side you look at the story, it's a bad story. I mean, for the club, for the players, this is something, I don't know. I've been following soccer for many years, but I've never seen, such a treatment for a player and such a behavior made by a player. So this is a very unique situation. Even Nainggolan got to know that he was out of the project. And, look, he found a team, maybe not even like a team that was playing the Champions League. He had to, go back to Cagliari. But at the end of the day, he understood that he was out of the, contest squad. So I don't understand why Icardi continues to, believe that he's going to change things and posting on Instagram that he acquired a new house in Milan. I don't know if you saw that post
I saw that
earlier
picture
today. So he's sending signs that he loves Milan, that he doesn't want to leave Inter, but guy, you are out of our plans. So yeah, deal with it.
Okay, speaking of contest plans, what do you think is bringing to the table for us? How do you think it's gonna affect our future?
Well, we obviously got one of the best coach in the world right now, probably top 3, and it's gonna bring a lot to the table for us. I've already seen progress this summer. I think that the team will play better. We will have more ways to score. Last year, we were too much focused on the wings and try to get balls to Icardi. I think this year around we will see, better scheme, better plays. Probably we'll enjoy a little bit more and score more differently for sure. The mentality will change. He's a tough guy. Conte pretends a lot from his player. So we'll see a lot of this on the pitch, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see how he will respond to Juventus, because come on, this is also a battle in the battle, So he's gonna face his past, and he's gonna perhaps put something extra to have a sort of revenge against Juventus, same as Marotta. So it's gonna be interesting.
Do you think the gap between us and Piemonte Calcio is still as big as it was, or do you think now we're closer to Napoli, or we're better than Napoli? What do you think is our position at the moment?
Well, I think Juventus still the team to beat. They improved from last year. They got great players, great new players. They have the best player in the world. Perhaps it will take some time for Juventus to understand Sarri, and Sarri to understand the team. So maybe we can if we start well, we can use that, moment to kind of maybe get some points in case Juventus will tie some games. But still, they are good, and they are damn good. With Naples, I think we got something, but also them, improved the team. They got better in every section of their squad. So I don't know. We have to fight for the second place. I don't want to hear about the Scudetto word yet. We are not there yet. So maybe we're a little bit closer to Napoli now, but still Juventus is too far away.
Okay, so you still think that this season we're gonna be like in the Champions League, but nothing more?
Well, yeah, maybe a little bit more comfortable in the Champions League zone than last year. But yeah, I don't want to sound too pessimist, but the second place is what we have to aim for. Conte will never say that we are not fighting for the Scudetto, because it's not his mentality, and it's not the message that he wants to send to the team. But as a realistic fan, I want to say that the second place is what we have to aim for.
Okay. And then this weekend, Serie A is coming back, finally, I would say.
Yeah.
And we're going to play on Monday night. What do you think is going to be our 11 starting? Who's going to miss the first game? What do you have?
Well, I think Conte used pretty much the same squad, during the preseason. So we have seen the midfield being the one that probably will start. So Sensi, Barella, Brozovic. On the wings, it's going to be interesting, because on left, Asamoah, I think he played only one time during the preseason as a starter. And on the other side, Candreva, I think, will be preferred to Lazaro, which is not still in good shape to start. And, I'm not mentioning about the defense, because, Godin is going to be out. So D'Ambrosio, Skriniar, and De Vrij will start. In attack, I think that's interesting, because Exposito played pretty much all the games, and I know Conte is not afraid to start him. So considering that Lukaku is not 100% in shape, I would say we can see Esposito from the beginning, maybe with Lautaro and then Lukaku coming from the bench. I'm not sure, but if I have to guess, and I know that Conte won't be afraid to start Esposito.
But it still sounds work in progress. At least that's my feeling. I don't know if we're gonna be able to go in this game and get a win. It sounds like, you know, some players not ready, some players injured. So I'm just wondering if it's gonna be like a proper Serie A game more than a friendly game.
Well, it's not going to be a friendly because Conte won't allow that. But we will have some issues because it's our first game. And, you know, the squad is not complete. Guys are not 100% in shape. And those are the games where the small teams can steal points, you know. So even a neopromossa like Lecce can steal a point maybe at San Siro. And so that's a dangerous game. Always, like, starting off the season, you have the risk to lose points, especially with the small teams. But Conte is a smart guy. I'm sure he's preparing the game well, and we have all the resources to win. So I'm confident with the win.
Okay. Yeah, Conte is like a no-nonsense. So no more Pazza Inter. But,
no, yeah, you said that.
Yep. All right. Next thing I want to ask, what do you think is the best acquisition that Inter made this transfer market, and then who do you think is the best in Serie A?
Well, I would say for what I've seen during the preseason, Sensi is the one that surprised me the most. I mean, from the beginning, he started to play as he always has played for Inter. I was really surprised. He's, you know, he has a great foot, great vision. He's technical, quick. You know, he reminds me of Pizarro. Like, I don't know if you remember, he played.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of player, like quick to think and small, agile. So yeah. I was really surprised. Barella is probably the you know, the guy that we have to rely more on, but it's not. It started late the preseason, so it's not in shape yet. But yeah, no, Sensi is the one that surprised me. And
which is funny because I guess after Godin is the cheapest acquisition we made this transfer window.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we're seeing a lot of new people in Serie A after this transfer window. Some return. Well, who do you think is gonna change the most? Any other team in this competition?
Well, again,
if you want to give me a top three, maybe.
Juventus got pretty good players with Light and Ramsey, especially. Ramsey, I like him a lot. So I think they are gonna have a big impact on Juventus and in Serie A especially. I was actually surprised to hear about Ribéry coming to Fiorentina. Like he's old. He's 35, 36, but damn, it's a big acquisition for them. So I look forward to see him play. Really excited. And I read this comment on the social network. I don't know if you read it too.
Not yet.
But, well, basically said Juve merda in a post. So I think he presented him well at Fiorentina. That's what they wanted to hear.
I like him already.
Yeah, me too.
Okay,
so no, I think it's gonna be a Serie A more competitive, more challenging in all the positions. So really excited to see what's going on.
Great. I want to mention I want to know what you think of the return of Balotelli, just because it's an ex-Inter player.
Well, I think we keep saying that pretty much all the time. Like, he's a great talent, but doesn't have the right attitude, the right head to be at the top. You know, he said in an interview that he's the top 10 in the top 10 best player of the world. Yeah, in words it probably is, but on the court is not always present. It's not always consistent, and yeah, I hope Brescia will be his dimension. I'm happy that he chose Italy over Brazil. I don't think Brazil would be a good situation for him. Too many distractions, the beaches and the girls. Probably not gonna be effective for him. So yeah, no, I hope that he will stay focused, and maybe having also Mancini guiding him and pushing him to get to the national team, because that's the ultimate goal for him for this season, and get to the Europeo next summer. So yeah, I wish him well. I mean, he didn't have much luck at Inter. He did something bad by throwing our jersey, but I still, I still like him as a player, and I wish him well.
Do you think he's gonna score against us?
Well, he's a striker, so there are chances. But Godin, De Vrij, Skriniar, I think it's gonna be tough for him.
Yeah, good. All right, Sergio. Unless you want to add anything else that I didn't mention, I thank you a lot for being our guest today, and I hope to hear back from you soon.
Yeah, no, it was a pleasure. Thank you, Alessandro, for having me, and have a good start of the season, and Forza Inter, of course.
Forza Inter sempre. All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, guys.
Bye.